Civil War. It's not a movie that you expect it to be, and I think that's why it's pissing off a lot of people. Um, and I will describe these people as in two camps: people who like to think, and people who need things spoon fed to them. And this movie forces you to think, and it doesn't spoon feed anything to you. It forces you to watch the movie and come up to your own conclusions. Um, and it surrounds you know, basically the political cultural war we're at right now, and that war between the right and the left. And what Civil War does is although there are sides killing each other, it doesn't assign a party to the side.
Every review I've seen of this film that's not from a political talking head, every review that I've seen of Civil War, whether it's a movie review channel that they do this as a career, or if it's just like a commentary channel like me that kind of talks about political culture issues but not a political talking head, have all said the same thing: that this movie is not political. A matter of fact, they make and they keep the reason why the Civil War, the sides, the fractions, and the alliances extremely ambiguous.
Garland's choice to focus on photojournalists as the protagonist is perhaps the wisest route to take when you're making a movie that's supposed to depict an event that might likely divide viewers, because the job of a photojournalist is just to tell the truth with their photos, try to get the best picture they can of important events to make sure people know what's going on. They don't write the headlines, they're not writing an article about their photos, they're just providing the truth about what's going on. And so to be with these characters throughout this journey, you're watching characters that don't really have an opinion of either side. They just want to capture the truth and make sure that other people know about it. So in one way, A24 and Garland taking this approach is the safest and cleanest route to telling this story. But in others, it can be a little frustrating because you're kind of reaching, hoping that they're going to say something, have an opinion, take a side, or even present a side. But for the most part, this movie, just like its photojournalist main characters, would prefer to depict events and present images to us and have us make up our minds about things.
Because I know the question. Come on, where does the movie lean politically? You can tell me. It doesn't really. It's not a right versus left, Republican, Democrat. It's a human nature story to its core. We don't see the Civil War start. It's been happening for a while.
I'm seeing a little bit of division between critics, a lot of people online wanting Alex Garland to lean heavily into picking a side, a political stance, something to stand on and lean on with this film, and the message that it's ultimately delivering. But after watching Civil War and kind of understanding what he was going for here, the movie does not do that. And admittedly, even as someone who doesn't care as much about that, even I was a little hesitant at first. I'm like, well, if he doesn't take a stance, what is this film ultimately going to be about? But while he does not use this platform to paint a political picture, he uses it to showcase the horrors of this hypothetical situation.
It's not a movie really looking to preach at the audience. It's not telling you what to think. It's much more of a mirror film. It's holding up a mirror and saying, like, look at this, look at it, look at what's happening. Where do you see yourself in this movie? Stop and think about it. Stop and think about how you're behaving now that could push us towards something in the future. Please stop and think.
The first thing that I say about this that I see a lot of people, rightfully so, when it first comes out, is like, okay, well, what stance does it take? Is it a far left movie? Is it a far right movie? What is this movie? Don't expect that. And, well, how does the conflict begin? Don't expect that. They don't tell you about that type of stuff. That's not what the movie is.
But like the rest of this movie, we never really get those examples as to why we're in a war. We just are in one.
They went out of their way, above and beyond, to not make this a soapbox preaching down, talking down to making one side the enemy and the other side the goodie. They went above and beyond to do that. But leave it up to Tim Pool to trick his audience into thinking that's all this film is about.
The film is very obviously anti-Trump, leftist, liberal perspective.
I'm making this video because I was woken up. I woke up and I looked at a comment on one of my most recent, yesterday I uploaded it, movie review of the Civil War, and this is basically another reason why you should not look at social media the first thing you do when you wake up, because it puts you in the bad mood, and that's exactly what this did. Someone commented and said, not in a bad way, they weren't attacking me or anything like that, they just said, hey, like, you're saying it's not political, but like, Tim Pool has said this movie is extremely political, and he broke down the reasons why. I'm gonna break down the reasons why Tim Pool said this video is political a little bit later on, not too far down the line in this video. And if you don't want to see that, click off because there will be spoilers. But the reason why I'm so upset, this was almost the first thing I did today was make this video. I almost didn't even take a shower before. And you might be asking yourself, why, Shamika? Why are you so upset? It's just a movie. I'm upset because I'm exhausted. I'm extremely exhausted by everything being extremely politicized. I'm tired and sick and tired of the political tribalism, the political divide. The movie itself is a warning about what's going to happen to America if this political tribalism and division continues to happen. But people are so dead set on just being right and just being on a winning side. They don't care if it causes their entire country to burn down to ashes. That's why I'm upset. This film was amazing. It was beautifully done. And they went out of their way to keep the politics out of the conversation, and people are still hell-bent of seeing the politics within this film. It's funny enough though. You have Tim Pool and other people like him. Tim Pool is the only political talking head I've seen talking about this so far. So Tim Pool and his audience who think this is extremely political, and not only extremely political, but an anti-Trump movie. If this is an anti-Trump movie, they did a really terrible job making this anti-Trump propaganda. Terrible job. If that was the objective, whoever came up with this movie need to be fired. Anywho, you have that side who's saying it's extremely political, but then you have movie critics complaining that it was too ambiguous. You have people criticizing this movie, which I even said that was a slight criticism of mine. People criticizing this movie that it wasn't political enough, that they didn't point out sides, that they didn't make someone the goodie or the baddie. So how can you have both? How can it be extremely political, a giant Trump-hating propaganda movie, but be too ambiguous and not political enough? I think both sides are pathetic. People who wanted this to be political, so they have, a champion or a win, or they have ammo to go after the other side. I think both sides are pathetic. Losers. Losers with a capital fucking L. Now, I'm going to go into the parts where Tim Pool said the reason why it's political. So spoilers, okay? Tim Pool said that this is obviously a Trump-bashing propaganda movie because 2 of the characters or 3 of the characters in the movie that, mind you, takes up the tiniest fraction of the fucking film, Tim Pool says are the good old boys. Well, obviously, these are redneck good old boys that's supposed to represent Trump supporters. First of all, why would Tim Pool buy into the stereotype that Trump supporters are all rednecks? Like, that's weird. Is that how he sees you? Second of all, there's nothing redneck about these characters. They don't even have a southern accent. They don't have an accent at all. There's no redneck inflectuation of the voice. There's no redneck talking points. There's no redneck speech. There's no redneck language. Nothing redneck. Nothing southern about it. Nothing good old boy about it besides them having guns and military clothes on. But you're saying our good men and women of the military are all redneck southern good old boys? That's it. Nothing redneck about them at all. A matter of fact, 2 of the characters are quite flamboyant. One, you've seen him in a poster, he has bright green hair with polished nails. I don't know much about good old boys or rednecks, but I don't think they polish their fingernails all that often. And he says 2 words maybe in the film. I don't know how you got political or good old boy or Trump supporter out of shut up, because I believe that's what the character says, shut up or be quiet. The second guy has bright red glasses on. You saw him in a preview. The one scene, the guy with the bright green hair, they literally make it a point to the audience. They're not gonna say what sides are sides. The guy with the green hair is trying to shoot someone, snipe someone in a house. They never show this person in the house. They never name this person in the house. The person in the house is a faceless person. The guy that's helping the guy find the guy they're trying to shoot, he's on a scope. He's on a scope and he's looking out, trying to find the guy they're trying to shoot. The reporters, this movie is about the reporters. This movie is really not about sides, politics. The movie takes the audience through the lens of the reporters, of the photojournalists, which again is said in the film that they do not answer questions, they do not give you the answers, they do not write the headlines, they just take the picture. That is their objective and their only objective, not to create a narrative, just to take the picture so you can see the truth. So the journalist is asking the guy, hey, who are you shooting? And then the guy, being annoyed by the journalist because they're obviously trying to get something done, goes, I don't know, somebody trying to kill us, so we're trying to kill them. That's it.
You don't know what side they're fighting for.
Someone's trying to kill us. We are trying to kill them.
Matter of fact, there's nothing. There's no like tag words in this film. No one's going libtard, snowflake, nothing. There's nothing in this film that you can tie together with conservative right or anything besides guns and military outfits. I don't know why that would be deemed as good old boy Trump supporters, because there's plenty of military men and women that aren't. In that scene with the good old boys Tim Pool is talking about, literally tells the audience, we don't know. We're just trying to kill someone because they're trying to kill us. They make it extremely ambiguous. The other guy that Tim Pool is saying is a good old boy has red glasses. He's about to assassinate two of the characters in this movie. The other reporters come down and say, whoa, wait, they're our friends. And they make it clear that they're journalists, and the guy, not the guy with the gun, the reporter goes, we're American, we're American, we're American. The good old boy, he doesn't ask where they're from. He never says, are you a real American? Are you from America? He doesn't ask for where they're from. He's just assassinating people. Why? They leave it ambiguous. They don't ever tell you. The reporter volunteers that information that they're American because he feels like it might make a difference. Now, the military guy or the guy with the gun is like, okay, like that didn't ask you, but what kind of American are you? No. I could bet someone can see, that's supposed to represent a good old boy because they don't like foreigners and they don't like Mexicans and all that stuff. When the guy who looks like he could be Hispanic says, I'm from Florida, the guy with the gun, the good old boy says, good, that's what I'm talking about. America. Before that, he goes, where are you from? North America, Central America, Southern America, or South America? Again, making you think what he's about to say is some sort of racist thing, but what they make clear later on in his sentence is that it's because America itself is fractioned now. It's not just all of America. If you look at the trailer, there's not 50 stars on the flag anymore. So they consider America itself now a continent and not a country. So he's not talking about over the border. He was talking about parts of America itself. That was it. Those are the parts that Tim Pool was like, obviously, this is about good old boys, whatever, right? And then the third thing is the president. Obviously, to Tim Pool, this is supposed to represent Donald Trump. Again, if that was the point, whoever picked the character and gave him lines and put his makeup on and hair, they all need to be fired because they did a terrible job making this guy present Donald Trump. The only thing that this guy, the actor who plays the president from Park and Recreations, the only thing that him and Trump has in common is that they're both old and white. He doesn't have a Trump accent. He doesn't have a Trump's talking points. He doesn't have Trump's mannerisms. He doesn't pucker his lips. He's not tan. He doesn't have orange hair. There's nothing similar about this guy and Trump whatsoever. Besides, they're both old white men. That is the extent of it. They don't say make America great again. He doesn't say I'm the best at everything. He literally has a combination of maybe 30 seconds in the film, and only half of the 30 seconds he's actually speaking. How did you get Donald Trump from this? I don't know. And the combination of 10 seconds of maybe a hint of what's going on that I mentioned in my first review is one is said between the reporters jokingly like, oh, I want to ask the president if he thought it was a good idea to disband the FBI. And the other one is mentioning that the president isn't on his third terms. Everybody knows Donald Trump doesn't like the FBI, and The media, left-wing, far-left, progressive media, are the ones fear-mongering that Donald Trump would fight for another term and he'll be our last president. Only people who are chronically online know this. If they wanted to make it obvious for the masses that they were portraying Donald Trump, they would have made it more obvious. They didn't, because it's not Donald Trump. It's not supposed to portray Donald Trump. It's not supposed to portray anybody but a fictional president. And again, that's literally a combination of maybe 10 seconds of the film. The state alliances are mentioned for maybe 1.1 second of the film. I am going to repeat myself. This film is not political. It makes it extremely ambiguous. There are no sides taken. The fact that you guys are so hyper-focused on that is sad and pathetic, and I think you are a loser. The reason why I'm upset about this, and the reason why I'm passionate about this, is because I'm just sick and tired of political talking heads. I'm saying this to you as a human being with empathy to another human being. Stop listening to these people. They're rotting your fucking brains. Tim Pool needed this to be political because Tim Pool literally has wet dreams about the Civil War. Tim Pool has made millions of dollars pandering to a certain political side. That's why this needed to be political for Tim Pool. Tim Pool went into this film wanting this to be political, and he made notes to make sure he made it political. He already had this video scheduled. He already knew what he was going to say before he made this movie. The only way you made this political, because nobody else thinks this movie is political, not the people who praise this movie and not the people who criticize this movie. Both sides think this movie is not political. So how Tim Pool got politics out of this, I have no fucking idea. But I'm mad at the point because his audience is going to watch this film, and when you watch something to feed your cognitive dissonances, you're going to make sure it's fed. So you're going to go, okay, Tim Pool told me this, I'm going to go watch this film, and I'm going to make sure my biases pick this shit up, instead of just enjoying a film for what it is. We've been crying for stop the politics, stop the politics, stop the politics. You finally get a movie with no politics and you want it to be political. Make it make fucking sense. I'm done with this freaking video. I got what I needed to say out. Now you can stop being frustrated about it. You guys have a good day. Goodbye.